In a neighborhood where silence was mistaken for peace, and rules reigned over reason, one man's quiet act of love would spark a battle no one saw coming. When a devoted son builds a ramp for his ailing mother, he doesn't just face resistance, he challenges the very power structure of his community. What followed would forever change Oak Ridge Estates. Oak Ridge Estates looked like every suburban dream brought to life: identical lawns, matching mailboxes, and houses lined up like trophies. But for Jake Miller, it was starting to feel more like a cage. Not because of the neighborhood itself, but because of the woman who unofficially ruled it. Karen Dempsey was the head of the HOA. She wore that title like a crown. With her sharp eyes and even sharper tongue, Karen made sure no garden grew out of line, no blinds mismatched, no fence stood taller than policy allowed. She believed rules were the only way to maintain peace. And nothing, absolutely nothing, could threaten her sense of order. Then came the ramp. Jake had built it himself. His mother Mary had suffered a second stroke 6 months earlier. Her legs didn't work like they used to, and her pride had taken an even deeper hit than her body. She didn't want anyone's pity. What she wanted was independence. The ramp was her bridge to that. Jake had crafted it from solid oak, sturdy, safe, and built with love. He hadn't thought twice about HOA guidelines. This was about his mother's dignity. The notice came 2 days later. Dear Mr. Miller, your recent home modification violates Section 12 of the Oak Ridge Estates Community Design Policy. Please remove the unauthorized structure within 10 days to avoid fines and further legal action. Jake read it 3 times before tossing it into the trash. But Karen wasn't finished. She showed up in person, clipboard in hand, eyes narrow. This sets a precedent, she said flatly. If we allow this, next someone will build a treehouse or paint their door red. Jake stood between her and the ramp. This is not a decoration. It's a necessity. Karen clicked her pen. Then she should live somewhere else. Somewhere more suitable. That was the first time Jake truly saw the kind of person she was. Over the next week, fines piled up. Neighbors started avoiding eye contact. One man whispered to Jake that he agreed with him but didn't want trouble. Fear had taken root in Oak Ridge, and Karen had nurtured it for years. Jake contacted a lawyer, a woman named Rachel Nguyen, who specialized in housing discrimination. She looked over the HOA guidelines, state law, and federal ADA regulations. They're in the wrong, she said. And they're about to find out the hard way. Rachel filed a complaint on behalf of Mary. The case gained traction. Local news picked it up. For the first time, Karen wasn't just fighting Jake. She was facing public scrutiny. Karen responded by doubling down. She delivered a final notice in person. This time, she wasn't alone. 2 board members flanked her like bodyguards. The ramp must be gone by sunrise tomorrow, she said, or the HOA will file for property lien. Jake stared at her in disbelief. You're threatening to take our home because my mother needs help walking? No, she said coldly. Because you broke the rules. Tom, Jake's younger brother, was visiting that day. He had always been more impulsive, more physical, and he'd had enough. As Karen turned to leave, Tom walked past Jake without a word. Tom, Jake warned. Don't. Too late. Tom stormed down the steps, met Karen at the edge of the ramp, and without hesitation, launched a clean, brutal kick that sent her tumbling down the very structure she wanted gone. She screamed. Her clipboard flew. The board members gasped. Mary, who had come to the door, froze in her wheelchair. For a moment, the whole neighborhood held its breath. Karen lay on the ground, stunned but conscious. She pointed at Tom, yelling for the police. Jake pulled him back, furious and afraid. Sirens arrived within minutes. Karen pressed charges, assault and battery. Jake begged Rachel to step in. She did. And the story now with violence, made national headlines. But something strange began to happen. The neighborhood changed. People who had kept silent now started speaking up. One by one, residents confessed stories of being bullied by the HOA. A woman had been fined for having sunflowers. A man had received threats over an unauthorized porch light. They had all been afraid. But not anymore. Karen had overplayed her hand. At the hearing, Rachel presented evidence not just of discrimination, but of systemic abuse of power. She showed letters, emails, even secretly recorded HOA meetings where Karen referred to Mary as a liability and a burden to the image of the neighborhood. It wasn't just a legal case now. It was a moral one. The judge ruled in Jake and Mary's favor. The ramp would stay. The HOA would pay damages. And Karen was removed from her position, voted out by the very people she once controlled. But the story didn't end there. Tom still faced consequences. His assault charge couldn't be erased by public sympathy, but in a twist of quiet grace. Mary took the stand at his sentencing hearing. She spoke not about what Tom had done, but why he did it. "He was protecting me," she said softly. Sometimes love doesn't come out gently. Sometimes it explodes. The judge gave Tom probation, counseling, and community service, but he walked out free. Oak Ridge Estates was never the same again. The new HOA was run by people who understood community meant compassion, not control. Guidelines were rewritten. Accessibility was prioritized. And Mary's ramp. It became a quiet symbol, a reminder of what the neighborhood had almost become and what it chose to become instead. Jake often sat beside his mother on the porch in the evenings. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. The ramp was there, solid, unmoved, like the love that built it. And every now and then, a neighbor would stop by, place a hand on the railing, and say simply, "Thank you."